portrait and it never wants to do it. So welcome back and or to the channel. I tried to get it to go that way instead of vertical, and I don't know what, it's a Note 9 Android. It's old. Old like in the sense that I've had this phone 5.5 years. This December will be 6 years. So the wife and I had a discussion about that a while back. So we got these in December of 2019. So, and before that I had a Galaxy 5, and before that I had the Evo. I've always had Androids. I've had good luck with them. She tried an iPhone once and it was a total flop after a month or two, so we shipped it back and she got an Android. So anyhow, thanks for joining in, and I am here in Inwood, West Virginia. I could not get unloaded today. My customer wasn't in town. I talked to him I talked to them Friday, and he said give him a text and see where he was going to be at. There was no guarantee. So, you know, I always get lucky and get blessed when I can get unloaded on Sunday. It's not going to be any big deal because I'll roll in about 5:30, 5:45 in their yard, which is just a few miles away from here, and get unloaded and be on the road, because my next customer is not going to be there till after 9, and I got to give them some kind of notice. I should have called them on Friday to let them know, because they're getting a good chunk of material product. So you know, I had 2 weeks where I was just battling a bad chest cold, lost my voice, stuff like that. Bounced back last week. I was about 90% there over a week ago. I did a customer's car because I have a detailing business. I have all kinds of shit going on at home, but I had to schedule the other two out until this weekend, so I got back Thursday. So where do we start? Got back Thursday morning, spent the night, Wednesday night last week at the TA truck stop, Seymour, Indiana, only to wake up, get on the road Thursday morning, and after my 10-hour break, got up the road 5 miles, and I was knocking on wood that this thing was finally ironed out, all anomalies of IT and computer issues. Well, the pooch got screwed. I had 4 lights come on the dash through 3 codes, but I talked to the one mechanic I have on speed dial. So he ended up being on vacation, but took my call. I walked him through what the screen was reading to me, and the truck was still running, but he said, well, if this happens, or if this light comes on, pull over, it's gonna derate. It did not. I got back to the yard, so they had to put a doser, def header, another sensor, because I lost my fuel, the fuel gauge for the def. It was all def related issues. While it was since I was dropping off, so by the time I got back Thursday morning, dropped it off before noon, and I also had a rattling exhaust. I said, hey, the exhaust has been rattling, belts have been squealing. Well, on top of fixing all the def stuff, they put a new tensioner pulley, new belt, welded up bracket for the exhaust, and fixed the tire pressure monitoring, because it was showing that one tire was low even though it wasn't. They said they added 3 pounds to it. Reset the code for the TPS, and that's fine. So got it back Friday, or they were done Friday evening. I picked it up Saturday morning, and good to go, and sitting here now. So, and I can't say enough that compared to a year ago, going into last summer, compared to this summer, I was at one point today coming across Ohio and Pennsylvania at 8.6, 8.8 miles of the gallon. It's doing well. Other than, I keep having these IT anomalies. It isn't the DEF system, it was the ABS traction control, it was the engine, injector wire harness, Jake solenoid. It's just these damn trucks. So frustrating. But for the most part, got it back and still rolling. So no harm, no foul. Didn't break down. I didn't get stranded on the side of the road, and I'm back in it today. Start this week off fresh. There's a lot going on in the world. As you know, here we are, Sunday, June 22nd, and things have happened overseas with bombing, wars, rioting, and protest here in America. You could put all your energy into that. You can point fingers, deflect, whatever, and this and this. Yeah, stuff is happening. Stuff is happening because warmongering people that are getting greedy to profiteer. Wars only profit. There's so much profiteering going on with wars. That's why they happen. That's why they're ensued. Whatever meaning you want to give that, that's fine. Whatever side of the aisle you want to be on, wherever you want to stand with that, that's fine with me too. You take your stance. I'm not taking any stance with it. I'm not, and like I said, I'm not going to make this a political channel, but I am going to say is I've aligned and positioned myself to always be finding a way to take time when I'm not in this truck or having time like this. I'm in my off time and I'm YouTubing. This YouTube's going to get built up one day to where I'm going to make money on it. It's going to be part of many of the avenue income streams that I'm going to have generated over time, along with my AMSOIL, along with my detailing, along with my trading, my real estate. And it's not going to be real estate property owning. It's just going to be more or less real estate using a self-directed IRA and doing real estate liens and deeds. So it's just finding a way to stay in front of a sick and collapsing economy. We went through this, and I know I'll pound the table on this, but I don't care. Back in starting the end of 2012 through 2013 and 14, the wife and I felt it. We relied, on my job and her job to get us by. We now live in a time. This isn't the 50s, 60s, 70s, and even the 1980s. You can't live on 40 hours a week. And I'm saying you can't live on 40 hours a week with one single income that used to, 50, 60 years ago, the man could go out, work a 40-hour-a-week job, come home, have a car, a house, pay groceries, get the kids their schooling and all that jazz off one income. You can't do that anymore. It takes both of you to go out, have a full-time income, and both do side hustles to, really stay above and over and above in this economy. Otherwise, you're just getting by. You're not having any extra above. You're not really building anything that will carry you into your latter years when you can't physically do the work you do, especially for blue-collar people that are doing physical work like me. That's why I've aligned myself with the businesses that I have to the day I step out of this and I can't do this anymore. I can continue working. And I've had family members say, well, you're using that W word, work. Yes, but you are also collecting a pension. Pensions are great. It's a secured income, but it is a fixed income. I don't want to be on a fixed income. I want to be able to dictate and control. So in my later years, I want to have so much money that, hey, if I want to go to Bora Bora for a month, I'm going to effing do it. If I want to go and take a nice long trip, I don't want money to dictate to me because of what I'm bringing in my latter years, what I can and can't do. I want the freedom to go do whatever I want, how and when. So I don't sit down and watch sports. I don't participate in entertainment because that is the key thing that this country is so ingrained into people is spend your money going on cruises, Disney, going to concerts, going vacation resorts and stuff like that. It's getting to be the new mantra that has been handed, that I have heard is you need to work at earning more and requiring less. And it's that old saying, the more you make, the more you spend. Well, no, the more you make, the disciplined you have to be to stay even less than what you were doing before. So if you made $20,000 5 years ago, now you're making $120,000. You should still be living like you're making $20,000. And you should never give up the way you live frugally when you were just starting out and barely making it, because that extra discretionary money can be put into investments that will expand and grow even more substantially, to where one day an accident happens, a freak of nature, a terminal illness, something ensues. That is what's happened to us. That you want to have that nest egg, and that will help carry you. So whether if you can't work anymore or if you have to dial it down to where you only can work part-time, you have that cushion. Because a lot of people don't save money anymore. We are not a nation of producer savers. We are just a consuming nation. We make money, we go out, we consume. It's that the wife and I we joked about this twice today during one of my finance and economic people during one of their YouTube videos. The AdSense comes on, and the ads. During the ad, the wife was sitting there, and the husband's just in this awed look of, where did all these Amazon boxes come from? Well, I ordered them, this and that. And then he's looking out there, where'd that car come from? Well, our current car couldn't haul as much packages, so I took the liberty to, and I think it was a Chevrolet commercial or something, so I took the liberty to go online, get us a new car that is bigger, that have the capacity to haul more packages that I order. And so they came, dropped it off, and took our old one for trade-in. And I'm just thinking, if that was my wife spending money as fast as I could make it like that, her and her shit would be out on the street, and that would be the end of that marriage. I have zero tolerance, and I see these wives, these girlfriends, or these dudes that are always like, spend, spend, spend. Look at me, on TikTok, spending money. It's like, and I would almost have to say half of these dudes don't have a pot to piss in, let alone the sun's changing. Let me see if I can adjust that. But they're just on the spending rage, and we're in our economy, our currency is not made to be saved. The interest rate on savings is like what, 0.01 or 0.02, depending on where you bank at. So it's not like it was 50, 60 years ago when you got a better return in a savings account. They're making it to where the banking sector, which runs this country, the central banks, the Federal Reserve, which is the central banks, your JP Morgan and your Bank of America and all these, they're making it to where they don't want your money parked at the bank. When you get it, they want you to go spend it, because they always want you to be a debt slave to this system that they have created for over 100 years now. So I am going against the grain. I have been going against the grain, and I'm getting out of debt. Not taking vacations. I'm not buying stupid shit, and right now my percentage is on the low side of what I can invest, because I'm throwing everything in the kitchen sink at debt, because I want to be out of debt and I want to be out of the banking sector. I'm building up my own banking system to where I can borrow and replace tax-free my own money without using a bank. I probably would have to use a bank to at least transfer the money into an account, but for the most part, I can hedge it into a entity that will not be, the IRS can't bother you with. So there are ways to be. It's called like infinite banking in that, but I've already set it up. I'm going on 2 years with that. So you got to be smart. You got to be educated. The schools, this country does not set you up to understand economics, finance, banking, how money works, and what did I say? Economics, investing, stuff like that. You're never taught that in school. They're just like they train you to do the bare minimum, to go get a job and be a debt slave. Get a job, then you go and you take a loan, you get a car. Everything is go to the bank, get a loan, go to the bank, get a loan to buy everything, or if you can't afford it, get a credit card. But always just be in debt to the financial system. And but for me also is inflation. That's part of that Federal Reserve and the central banks is they always want to be on this 2% inflation hedge. They 2% target rate of where they want inflation to be running. Why do we even need inflation? It's not for our benefit, it's for their benefit to always rape us of more money. So it's the taxation, it's that hidden taxation that's going on in our society. And I think we're just overly taxed. That's the other reason why I started businesses, because I want to be able to have write-offs, therefore reduce my tax bill at the end of the year, which has helped for the last 2 years now. I've been able to take over $10,000 each year off from this W-2 paycheck I get from here because of my business write-offs. So it's one of those, you got to be motivated, you got to be hungry. People like Donald Trump, people like, billionaires, Elon Musk, people have put themselves out there, taking high risks to start businesses and get somewhere. Jeff Bezos started Amazon out of his garage, selling used books and all that, because even back in 2001 and 2, I was buying books from Amazon, school books when I was in medical school. So it's just one of those, you have to start a business if you want to use the tax codes in your favor so you're never taxated. It's like I was telling, if he watches this, Tommy there at Trucking Unfiltered. So I checked in with him. He's doing good on his new venture with being a company driver instead of an owner-op. So he's going to run that for at least a month or 3 and figure out some feedback from that, see whether or not he's going to sell his truck because it's parked right now, and stay on as a company driver, or put the money in his truck and then put it back on the road and try to up his income more, leveraging with that truck. So good conversation. We'll be probably following up with more conversations this week. He's on a different schedule. His schedule is so different, but he's a good friend that I got to meet through YouTube and a lot of other folks. And that's the nice thing about the YouTube community, is just being able to find some cool cats out there that are like-minded, and a lot of them bring good information. The best information has been coming from YouTube and or the other channel there that starts with an R. Usually they ding you on your algorithm when you talk about other platforms on here. The other thing that gets me too is YouTube does ding you if you braise a weapon of some type. So Facebook's not so much, where you can go to the range and pew away, but here on YouTube they will ding your channel, and especially if it's monetized, they'll demonetize it and or take it down because that's just their policies. That's fine. Got to play by their rules because it's their company. But hey, if we all could get together and venture capital into and build our, start our own platform where we can do shared videos and talking points like this, maybe we can set the stage and the rules. But since they got a big jump on it back in the, what have they been, 20 years into the making now? So they got their own rules and they kind of dictate what they will and will not allow. So, so I keep it cordial. And, if you follow some of the platforms, if you follow enough platforms, you can see a churn of drama going on and other stuff. And I find it funny, but on the other hand, I don't need drama in my life. There's enough turmoil in the world. The last thing I need is to look at, a platform like this and see the drama. It's like, I need the energy I do have at 58 years old. I need to have it to move forward and prosper. So, excuse me. But anyhow, I'm here if you saw the thumbnail, I'm here at the Rudders in Inwood, West Virginia. A nice little truck stop. No showers here. But man, they got a full kitchen. They cook their food up and all that jazz. Yeah, it's pretty good stuff in here. I first ran into these folks in Eastern PA when I ran reefer back in 18 and 19. The Rudders and the Casey's I always ran into when I ran up Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, out towards Joplin. I remember I did a 34 at a Casey's. Really nice place, similar to this structure and layout. Good little truck stop. So I enjoy it being here. It's quiet. A lot of locals park here. I think there's a big food processing plant. Cargill, which is one of the big conglomerates of food. I think they're right next door to here. So there's a lot of reefer and truck traffic coming through. But other than that, I could go on and on and on about stuff, but the one thing you need, if a guy like me can find time driving truck full time to get an LLC and start building businesses, it's not like you're just gonna stop what you're doing and go and do it unless I was laid off or down medically to where I was homebound. Then you'd have more time to commit to it. But I am just building those little by little, day by day, month by month, because eventually I'll be out of this truck driving bit and leveraging into the businesses where I can work from a home office. My home office, I have a nice library, because I'm not going to live in the house I'm in, for sure. But the day comes when we get set up to where we want to be in the type of house we want. My office will have a library with certain books I'd like to be having to read and refer back to. But Warren Buffett's mid-90s. He's still working away, still being a billionaire. It's not like he's sitting back. He's still involved with Berkshire Hathaway. That's the way I'm gonna go. Just still working, but I'm gonna be working to make money through managing businesses. And I think it's so, people just don't see the light on that. They just think, I got to go and get a job. I got to get a second job. Well, start a business. Find a niche that you're good in and turn it into a business. And because if you got love and passion into something, you usually can catalyst that by applying more effort into it through a business entity. And that's how many of these big corporations have started through the country. The United States of America is corporations were started. Sam Walton started somewhere. Up by us, Fred Meyer started with just old pickup truck hauling to the farm market. He built up a big chain of grocery stores. It takes a lot of effort. It's a one-man band, but once you get traction and the momentum going, um, it explodes and takes off, and then all of a sudden you're all in on it, and that's what I'm looking to be doing. And the reason why I'm doing it is because I want to buy back my time by being able to be home, work my businesses, take a break, walk out to the kitchen, have lunch with my wife, go back. If I'm still, if I'm working 8 hours a day or 4 hours a day, then I can sit down. I don't have to be out here FaceTiming on the phone, eating out of a semi truck, state to state, town to town, but I can be right there at home. We can, take off in the evening, in the middle of the week, and go have a nice dinner somewhere, or there at home, or take a drive. But it's just that having control of your life and taking back your time and dictating, what you are and are not going to do, and not someone else telling you what you will and will not do and how much you will and will not make. I've had that twice in my life where I've had a company threaten me that if I don't do this, it will cost you your job. And one of them was the last hospital stay, where they threatened me with my job if I was in the recovery room with my wife. And basically, they didn't give a shit that I was leaving my wife behind 2 hours away at a different hospital, coming out of surgery, that I had to be back to work my weekend when I already had someone to cover it. And management said, yeah, we got you covered. We'll take care of your wife. Well, then they said, no, no one wants to work your weekend. You need to come back. Well, they threatened me in my job with that. Well, once she got the second surgery done 7 weeks later, she was in her hospital room, said, I will be back in 4 hours. 2 hour drive there, 2 hour drive back. I walked in the back door, and I gave him my resignation, and I told him to go take a flying leap. So I don't tolerate that, when you threaten me with my job. So that was a bitter pill. But yeah, I've run into that, even back in the 90s. People would do that to keep you, I want to say that was their motivational skill, to say, if you don't do this, it's going to cost you your job. If you don't do what I say, and don't, you're not following orders, or however you want to put it. It's, that's how this country was built. Small businesses, people like myself, people, and I'm just using Jeff Bezos because I just remember him in the day, just, getting college books from Amazon, because it was so much cheaper if they didn't have any used ones at the school bookstore, then I would just order them from Amazon, because you were talking about a 60 to 70% price difference. Especially getting books in the medical field were so much more expensive. But no, I can't express it enough. And like I said, we may be, one day teaming up with Tommy. He and I have talked about some possible business ventures. He's just getting himself situated. I don't think he'll be doing what he's doing forever. He's got other plans to be home and do things too in his local area. And I said, we could probably get something put together at a day and time when I may get around to where he and I could be living in the same town. And that could be, there could be some big things coming up. And one day we'll meet up. Maybe we'll collaborate and do a live stream together. But it's like-minded people that you just want to get yourself around, that are forward-thinking and not procrastinating and not being lazy. So, like I said, I caught up all my details, banging right out the summer. I'm hoping that the 3 I got, sounds like I'm going to be getting some more referrals, let alone more family members from them. So it's been a positive thing. So I went really over and above with those folks, because I know there's going to be more coming. So very appreciative of that. And just blessed every day that I've disciplined myself to think the way things used to be and not the way things are now, as far as saving money and not consuming and spending money. and being very frugal. But earn more, require less. So, and as Tommy would say, is a boring day driving is a profitable day, because there's so much truth in that. Because I had too much excitement last week. Monday morning, wake up, airline's broken on the trailer. There I was, 3 hours, 40 minutes, sitting there getting a T brass fitting fixed. And then at the end of the week, going in, trucks, throwing codes, and ended up in the shop. And not a boring week, and not a profitable week. So, especially when equipment breaks down, that is probably my biggest pet peeve out here. I mean, right up there with annoyance of people distracted driving, is this shitty equipment that's always breaking down and leaving you stranded, or on the roadside a lot. That's only happened once with this, and that was the transmission and clutch going out on it. But other than that, definitely the IT in these trucks are just not reliable. Not the way they like to sell you it, but yeah, they got them dumbed down anyways. You pretty much get a trained monkey to drive these. Oh, that's right, they have autonomous trucks now. What do I know? So they got self-driving trucks. So they passed taking us out of the truck, putting trained monkeys in here. They just want to rate 2 self-driving trucks. So congratulations, United States and all Western nations, that they want to automate everything. So no wonder why they want to decrease the population, because no one will have anything to do. So, but you just kind of see the writing on the wall. But be a forward thinker, find a niche, turn it into a business, profit from it, cash flow from it. And the one last thing I can say is, you will see a lot of people and you wonder, why did they sell that business? Because the one thing about a business person is, when they start a corporation, they start a business, they get it going. They get it to peak to where it is the most profitable to sell. Then they sell and they make their biggest profit off from that. And then what do? They take that money, invest, and start another business. Do the same thing. Get it built up to where it peaks. Sell it off. That's the name of the game in business. You don't see a lot of these people hanging on to businesses long term. Some small mom and pop stuff, but what I'm saying is big corporations. They will get the company built up to where it entices people to say, do you want to sell? We'd like to buy you out, blah, blah, blah. Then you start listening to offers. And that's what you do. And then you take your money and you go on. I saw a guy do that with, I was listening to a guy, Bob Proctor. His friend owned roadside billboard signs, and he would get so many along an interstate, through a state or multiple states, and then sell them off. Then go sit on the beach and live for a while. He'd get hundreds of, he'd get about say he gets $100 million for doing a $10,000 investment on one sign, builds up the capital and buys more signs. Then he's got a big corporation going on. Like, what is that, Landmark? That's one of the sign companies that's always advertising, your face or your company can be up here as people are going by. Well, that's what the guy did, and then he got bored after about, what did he say, 1 or 3 months. He was sitting on the beach, and he goes, I'm bored. I got to have something to do. Went back, bought another billboard, started back over again, building up another set of billboards, and building the company up. So that's what businessmen do. And when you see a peak and you get a good offer, sometimes you may just want to think, maybe I can take that money, invest a little, reinvest into the next business venture. So that's the way the mind's got to be always going. So anyhow, kind of like I said, boring day. It was a nice drive here, hot and humid. I'd have been outside in the chair, but it peaked here when I got here around 95, 98 degrees. The humidity was unbearable. So just cleaning the windows and that. So I said, I'm not sitting out here live streaming. So the AC's been going full blast in here. Anyhow, folks, appreciate y'all being here. I'm going to try to get that ride along edited and out for this Thursday morning. And things should be settling down enough, and my health is back, so I can keep doing what I do best, and that is work, work, and work. And until next time, stay safe, continue educating yourself. Knowledge is learned, not taught, and we will see you all in the next video.